Hello everyone and welcome to a very special October TBR. So if you've been following me on Twitter, you might know that I have been saying over the last month or so that I am planning on doing an entirely Stephen King themed reading month this month, and that is exactly what I'm going to be doing. So I'm really excited to be able to bring to you an entire Stephen King TBR this month. So because he writes in so many different genres as well, I have been able to keep it quite varied, which I'm really happy about. So obviously I have some horror in here. I also have some sci-fi, some fantasy, some crime fiction. I even have some non-fiction in here. So I think it's going to be a really exciting, awesome reading October for me. So I'm going to start off with a book that I am currently rereading, and I'm almost finished my reread of It by Stephen King, and as you can see I've got about 180 pages to go on my reread. I've actually already read this book this year, so this will be the second time this year that I have read it. The reason I'm rereading it right now is because of something else that I'm really excited about that is happening at the end of October. Steve at the Lawn Gnome will be hosting a book versus film It live show, and I will be taking part along with a film reviewer, and we will just basically be discussing both this book and the recent film version of It. Obviously I will be defending the book. Steve actually created a trailer for that live show, which I will leave a link to in the description down below. Check it out because it's an awesome trailer and it just gets me really excited for the live show, so hopefully it will get you guys really excited for it too. So yeah, really looking forward to that. Also this month I will be reading Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. This is the first in a crime trilogy that he's written, and basically this is about a case where somebody drove a Mercedes into a queue of people in the street, killing quite a few people and injuring a lot more, and this case has never been solved. And then months later a retired cop gets a letter threatening an even worse crime than one that happened there, so obviously he believes that they might be the same person, and he comes out of retirement to try and solve this case. It just sounds really good, and I've not read any Stephen King crime fiction before, so yeah, really excited for this one. Another book that I will be reading this month is Dreamcatcher by Stephen King. All I know about this really is it's set in the same town, Derry in Maine, that It is set in, and I know there is aliens in it, and I've never read a Stephen King book with aliens in it. This might actually be the only one, possibly. I believe this is about a group of friends who overthrew a monster when they were kids, and it's changed them for life, kind of a little bit like It, and when they are adults they still meet up every year and they go back to Derry, and one year when they are back they stumble across an alien invasion, and I guess stuff happens from there. So yeah, really excited to get into this one. I will also be reading this month Nightmares and Dreamscapes by Stephen King. This is just a collection of his horror short stories. I think they're all horror based-ish. So yeah, that's pretty much all I know, and hopefully I will love most of them, if not all of them. So yeah. I will also be rereading Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This is my favourite Stephen King book that I've read to date, so I'm really excited to be able to reread it again, and I haven't read it for the longest time, so I'm super excited about it. It is actually the scariest book I've ever read still as well, so yeah, really excited about it. In a synopsis, probably, I can't say too much because there would be a lot of spoilers, but I probably will just say that this is about a young family who move to a new house, and in their new house, in their back garden, there is a cemetery where kids for years and years have buried their dead pets, and this cemetery has some ancient evil haunting it to very dramatic and tragic and scary consequences, and that's pretty much all I'm going to say, but it's really good, and I'm really happy to reread it this month, so yeah. Another book that I will be hopefully reading this month is Danse Macabre by Stephen King. This is a non-fiction, and this is basically just Stephen King's thoughts and feelings on the horror genre in general, why he thinks horror is so popular, what are his favourite kinds of horror, and all of his favourite horror books and horror films and stuff like that. I just think it would be really interesting to get his point of view on the genre as the master, in my opinion, of horror. So yeah, really looking forward to delving into this one. I will also be reading this month The Gunslinger by Stephen King. This is the first book in his Dark Tower fantasy series, and that's pretty much all I know. I just know that it's Stephen King fantasy. I think it has had some Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit comparisons to it over the years, but I don't want to know anymore. I know there was a recent film made of this book with Idris Elba in, and I love Idris Elba, so I think once I've read this I may try and see if I can see that film somewhere. So yeah, really excited to be finally starting the Dark Tower series. I will also be hopefully reading Cujo by Stephen King, and this is a horror that I've not read before, and I'm really excited to finally be reading it. I know that it's quite famous, I know that the film is quite famous. All I know about this is it is about a St. Bernard dog who somehow contracts rabies and starts turning vicious and attacking humans, and I've heard that it's really, really scary, and yeah, that's pretty much all I need to know, so yeah. And the last book that I will be reading this month is his new release, and that is Sleeping Beauties, co-written with his son Owen King. And if I can try and summarise this, I think it's about a world where when women go to sleep they are somehow cocooned in this strange gauze, and if they are disturbed from this gauze in any way they can turn feral and violent, and there's this one woman who seems to be immune to this curse, and I think people start suspecting that she might be some kind of demon because of that or something like that. It just sounds really, really good. This is a beautiful book, which I will go into more detail about the stunningness of this book in my little October book haul that I'm going to have this month. It's not going to be like my massive book hauls, I promise, because I am still on a book buying ban, but this was a pre-order, so no book buying bans were harmed in the purchase of this book. So yeah, I will go into more detail about how beautiful this book is in my book haul. So yeah, but really excited to be diving into it, and it sounds really good, so yeah, really, really hoping I love it. And that is it for my October TBR. What books will you be reading this month? Please let me know. I will leave all of my social media in the description down below. I hope you're having an awesome day, and I will see you very soon for another video. Bye bye!